The text from Mom arrived during my morning meeting with the Executive Loan Committee. Important. Dinner Saturday at Harborview Country Club. Emily's boyfriend Lucas is bringing his parents. The Morrisons. Real estate developers. Own half the city. Do not embarrass us. Wear something nice. Be on your best behavior. I stared at the message while our chief credit officer presented risk assessments on commercial real estate portfolios. The Morrisons. Morrison Development Group. Currently under review for a $340 million construction loan for their waterfront mixed-use project. A loan I'd personally been evaluating for the past 6 weeks. A loan that would go before the final approval committee, which I chaired, in 3 days. My assistant caught my expression. Slid me a note. Everything okay? I wrote back. Family thinks I'm going to embarrass them in front of people whose $340 million loan I'm about to approve or deny. She covered her mouth to hide her smile. After the meeting, I called our VP of Commercial Lending. Michael, the Morrison waterfront project. Where are we? Final review Monday. They're sweating. It's their biggest project ever. Without this loan, the whole deal collapses. What's your recommendation? Approve with conditions. Strong collateral. Proven track record. Market analysis is solid. But they need to restructure the payment schedule and provide additional guarantees. Set up a meeting. Friday 2 p.m. I want to discuss terms before the approval committee. You got it. This is a big one, Kate. Morrison Development has been with us for 20 years, but this project could make or break them. I hung up. Looked at Mom's text again. Then I responded, I'll be there. Mom's reply was immediate. Thank God. Please dress appropriately. These people are important. Lucas's father is very successful. Don't talk about work. You know how you can be. I knew exactly how I could be. Catherine Chin, Executive Vice President and Chief Lending Officer at Pacific National Bank. 38 years old. Responsible for $12 billion in commercial loan portfolios. The person who decided whether projects worth hundreds of millions of dollars got funded or died. But to my family I was just Kate, the boring one who worked at a bank. I grew up in San Francisco, second daughter to immigrants who'd built a successful medical supply business. My older sister Emily was everything they wanted. Beautiful. Charming. Married young to a pediatrician. Produced 2 perfect grandchildren. Stayed home to raise them. The ideal Chinese-American daughter. I was everything that confused them. Obsessed with numbers. Scholarship to UC Berkeley for economics. MBA from Wharton at 25. Started in commercial banking at 26. By 30, I was a vice president at Pacific National Bank. By 35, senior vice president of commercial lending. Last year, at 37, I was promoted to executive vice president and chief lending officer. One of the youngest people ever to hold that position at a major regional bank. I oversaw a team of 60 lending officers. Approved or denied loans ranging from $10 million to $500 million. Sat on the bank's executive committee. Made $850,000 annually plus bonuses that pushed my total compensation over $1.2 million. Last year I'd approved $4.3 billion in commercial loans. Maintained a default rate of 0.3%, well below industry standards. I was featured in American Banker magazine's 40 Under 40. Banking Journal called me one of the most influential commercial lenders on the West Coast. My parents' response, that's nice. Emily's daughter made honor roll. Emily was my mother's favorite. Always had been. The pretty one. The social one. The one who understood that being a good daughter meant marriage and grandchildren. I was the disappointment. Unmarried at 38. No children. Too focused on career. Too aggressive. Not feminine enough. Every family dinner was a reminder of what I wasn't. Kate, when are you going to settle down? Kate, you can't work forever. Kate, Emily's life is so fulfilling. Don't you want that? I'd stopped trying to explain that my life was fulfilling. That I loved my work. That I was successful beyond anything they understood. Because they didn't want to understand. Emily married Michael, a pediatrician making $280,000 a year. They lived in a nice house in the suburbs. 2 kids. Country club membership. PTA involvement. My parents bragged about them constantly. I made $1.2 million a year. Owned a penthouse in Pack Heights worth $3.8 million. Drove a Porsche. Sat on the boards of 2 nonprofit organizations. Had been invited to speak at the Federal Reserve's annual banking conference. My parents mentioned none of it. Because in their world, Emily's life mattered. Mine was just work. Emily had been dating Lucas Morrison for 6 months. Every conversation with Mom was about Lucas. Lucas took Emily to this exclusive restaurant. Lucas's family has a house in Napa. Lucas drives a Mercedes. Such a successful young man. I'd met Lucas once. Pleasant enough. Mid-30s. Worked for his father's development company. Seemed genuinely fond of Emily. But to hear Mom tell it, Emily had won the lottery. His parents are real estate royalty, Mom said over lunch 2 weeks ago. Morrison Development Group. They've built half the new construction in the Bay Area. The family is worth hundreds of millions. That's impressive, I said, not mentioning that I'd reviewed Morrison Development's financials extensively during my evaluation of their loan application. Emily is so lucky. Lucas is going to propose soon. I can feel it. That's wonderful. You should try to meet someone, Kate. You're not getting younger. I'm 38, Mom. Not ancient. Emily was married at 26. Had her first child at 28. You're 12 years behind. I'm not behind. I have a different life. A lonely life. I'd paid for lunch and left. Now Mom was planning this dinner at the country club. A chance to impress the Morrisons. To show them that Emily came from a good family. And I was supposed to sit there quietly, not embarrass anyone, and let Emily shine. While I held the future of their company's biggest project in my hands. Friday at 2 p.m., I met with Michael and the Morrison Development team in our main conference room. Robert Morrison, late 60s. Built Morrison Development from nothing 40 years ago. Nervous about this loan. His son David Morrison, early 40s. The numbers guy. Competent but aware this project was risky. Lucas Morrison sat in on the meeting. Project development role. Largely ceremonial. Miss Chin, Robert Morrison stood to shake my hand. Thank you for meeting with us before Monday's approval committee. Of course. I've reviewed your application thoroughly. The waterfront project is ambitious. It's our legacy project, Robert said. Mixed-use development. Residential, commercial, retail. 800,000 square feet. $620 million total cost. We're seeking $340 million in construction financing. I've seen the plans. Impressive. David pulled out updated financials. We've restructured the payment schedule as Michael suggested. We're also providing additional personal guarantees from both my father and myself. I reviewed the documents. Asked detailed questions about construction timelines, pre-leasing commitments, market comparables. Lucas sat quietly. Contributed nothing. Clearly not involved in the actual business operations. After 90 minutes, I closed my folder. Gentlemen, here's where we are. Your track record is solid. The project has merit. The market analysis supports the concept. But this is the largest project Morrison Development has ever attempted. 3 times larger than anything you've previously completed. Robert nodded. We're aware of the risk. Are you? Because if this project fails, it takes down your entire company. 20 properties as collateral. Your personal wealth. Everything you've built. We believe in this project. Belief isn't enough. I need certainty. I need ironclad construction contracts. I need pre-leasing commitments at 40% before we release final construction draws. I need monthly financial reporting with penalty clauses if you miss benchmarks. David was taking notes. We can agree to those terms. Then I'll recommend approval to the committee. With the conditions outlined. We'll structure this as a phased release. $85 million per quarter, contingent on meeting construction and leasing milestones. Robert exhaled. Actually exhaled with visible relief. Thank you, Ms. Chin. This project means everything to our family. Don't thank me yet. Deliver on the terms. Prove the project works. Then thank me. As they packed up, Lucas approached. Miss Chin, I'm dating Emily Chin. Are you related? She's my younger sister. His eyes widened. You're Kate? Emily's sister Kate. That's me. She never mentioned you worked here. At Pacific National. In lending. She probably doesn't know the details. But, you're approving our loan? If the committee agrees with my recommendation, yes. He looked stunned. Does Emily know? I doubt it. We don't discuss my work much. Robert had overheard. Approached. You're Lucas's girlfriend's sister? I am. Remarkable. Lucas never mentioned Emily's sister worked in commercial lending, let alone as chief lending officer of our bank. It doesn't usually come up. Well. Robert shook my hand again. Small world. We're having dinner with your family tomorrow at Harborview. I know. My mother texted me extensive instructions on appropriate behavior. Robert laughed. I look forward to seeing you there. Though I suspect the power dynamic has shifted considerably. After they left, Michael came into my office. That was the Morrison Group's project? Yes. And Lucas Morrison is dating your sister? Apparently so. Does your family know you're approving their loan? My family thinks I'm a mid-level bank employee who processes paperwork. They have no idea what I actually do. Michael started laughing. This dinner is going to be incredible. That's one word for it. Saturday morning brought a flood of texts from Mom. Dinner at 7 p.m. Don't be late. I bought you a dress. It's at my house. Please wear it. Nothing too businesslike. The Morrisons are very important. Be polite. Smile. Don't dominate conversation. Emily is so nervous. She really likes Lucas. Please don't do anything to jeopardize this. Remember, they're real estate royalty. Show respect. I responded, I'll be there at 7. I'll wear my own clothes. Mom, Kate please. Just this once, can you not make things difficult? I didn't respond. Emily called at noon. Kate, Mom said you're being difficult about the dress. I'm wearing my own clothes, Emily. Why can't you just cooperate? This dinner is important to me. I understand that. Do you? Because Lucas's parents are incredibly successful. They're judging our family. And you always make things awkward. Awkward how? You know how. You talk about work stuff nobody understands. You don't know how to do small talk. You're too serious. I'll try to behave appropriately. Please do. I really like Lucas. I don't want you ruining this. She hung up before I could respond. I sat in my penthouse looking out at the city. At the skyline I'd helped finance. At the buildings Morrison Development had built with loans I'd approved years ago. And I decided something. I was done being small. Done pretending I was less than I was. Done protecting my family's feelings at the expense of my own dignity. Tonight they'd see exactly who I was. Whether they liked it or not. I arrived at Harborview Country Club at 7 p.m. sharp. Wearing a black silk blouse, tailored pants, and the Cartier watch I'd bought myself last year after closing a record quarter. Professional. Elegant. Powerful. The valet's eyes widened when I pulled up in my Porsche 911. Good evening, ma'am. Good evening. Inside the host recognized me. Miss Chin. Welcome back. Your family is already here. The Morrison party as well. Thank you, James. He led me to the private dining room. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the bay. Table set for 8. Mom, Dad, Emily and Lucas on one side. Robert Morrison, his wife Catherine and David Morrison on the other. They all turned when I entered. Mom's face fell when she saw my outfit. Kate, I bought you a dress. I'm wearing this. Emily looked panicked. Lucas looked uncomfortable. Robert Morrison stood. Smiled. Miss Chin. Good to see you again. The room went silent. Mom blinked. You know each other? We met yesterday, Robert said. Miss Chin is the chief lending officer at Pacific National Bank. She's handling our waterfront project financing. You could have heard a pin drop. Emily's voice was faint. Kate, you met Lucas's father? We had a meeting. Discussed the $340 million construction loan for Morrison Development's waterfront project. Mom's mouth opened. Closed. No sound came out. Robert, bless him, seemed to be enjoying this. Miss Chin was very thorough. Asked excellent questions. We're grateful for her expertise. Catherine Morrison extended her hand. I'm Catherine. Lovely to meet you officially, Miss Chin. Please call me Kate. Only if you call me Catherine. We sat. The dynamic in the room had shifted completely. Mom was staring at me like I'd grown a second head. Dad looked confused. Emily was pale. Lucas leaned over. Emily, you never mentioned your sister worked at Pacific National. I didn't know she was senior management. She's the chief lending officer, David Morrison said. One of the youngest in the bank's history. I researched her after our meeting yesterday. Featured in American Banker. Approved over $4 billion in loans last year. Maintained one of the lowest default rates in the industry. Emily turned to me. You approved $4 billion in loans? Last year, yes. This year I'm tracking slightly ahead of that. Mom found her voice. Kate, you never told us you were a chief lending officer. I did tell you. Multiple times. You said, that's nice, and changed the subject to Emily's children. The awkwardness was palpable. Robert, the consummate businessman, tried to ease it. Well, we're delighted to be working with Kate. The waterfront project is Morrison Development's most ambitious undertaking. Having someone of Kate's caliber overseeing our financing gives us tremendous confidence. The approval committee meets Monday, I said. I'll be recommending approval with the conditions we discussed. Wait, Emily said. You're approving their loan? You're the one who decides. I chair the committee, yes. The final vote is Monday, but my recommendation carries significant weight. Lucas looked at Emily. You really didn't know? She never talks about work. I thought she was just, I don't know, a loan officer or something. I am a loan officer, I said. Just a very senior one. The waiter came. We ordered. The tension remained thick enough to cut. Catherine Morrison, socially adept, tried to normalize the conversation. Kate, how long have you been at Pacific National? 12 years. Started as an analyst. Worked my way up. That's impressive. Banking is challenging for women, especially in senior roles. It has its moments. Robert jumped in. What Kate's being modest about is that she's transformed Pacific National's commercial lending division. I've been banking with them for 20 years. Never seen someone with her combination of financial acumen and risk assessment. She caught 3 potential issues in our waterfront project that our own analysts missed. Like what? David asked. The parking ratio calculations were off. The retail space projections were overly optimistic given current market trends. And the construction timeline didn't account for potential supply chain delays. David nodded. All valid concerns. We've addressed them. I know. I reviewed your updated materials. Much stronger. Mom was watching this exchange like it was in a foreign language. Emily's face was getting redder. Kate, why didn't you tell us you did this kind of work? I did tell you. At Christmas dinner last year, I mentioned I'd been promoted to chief lending officer. You asked if that meant I got dental insurance. Lucas coughed. Try not to laugh. But you never said you approved hundreds of millions of dollars in loans, Mom protested. What did you think chief lending officer meant? I thought it was just a title. Like assistant manager at a store. Robert choked on his wine. Catherine looked astounded. Mrs. Chin, Robert said carefully, your daughter holds one of the most powerful positions in regional banking. She decides which projects get funded and which don't. She controls billions of dollars in lending authority. Dad finally spoke. How much do you make, Kate? Dad. No, I'm serious. How much? My base salary is $850,000. With bonuses, total compensation is usually $1.20 to $1.50 million annually. Silence. Complete total silence. Then Emily, you make over $1 million a year? Most years, yes. Doing what? Evaluating commercial loan applications. Assessing risk. Approving or denying financing for major construction projects, business expansions, commercial real estate developments. I oversee a team of 60 lending officers. I sit on the bank's executive committee. I report directly to the CEO. Mom set down her fork. And you never thought to mention this? I mention it constantly. You never listen. That's not fair, Kate. Isn't it? At every family dinner you ask about work. I tell you about major deals I'm closing, projects I'm evaluating, promotions I've received. You nod and change the subject to Emily's children or Dad's golf game. After a while I stopped trying. Emily looked wounded. I ask about your work. You ask if work is going okay. When I try to explain what I do, your eyes glaze over and you wait for me to finish so you can talk about Lucas or the kids. That's not true. Emily, 3 months ago I told you I'd approved financing for the new hospital expansion downtown. You asked if that meant I knew any single doctors. Lucas was staring at his plate. The Morrisons looked fascinated and uncomfortable in equal measure. Catherine tried again. Well, Kate, we're grateful you're working with Morrison Development. Robert has been stressed about this project. Knowing you're overseeing it gives me peace of mind. The project is solid. Once the committee approves on Monday, you'll be able to move forward. Is there any doubt about approval? David asked. There's always doubt until the vote happens. But given the revised terms and additional guarantees, I expect it to pass. Robert raised his glass. To Kate. And to successful partnerships. We toasted. Mom looked like she might cry. After dinner, Catherine invited me to join her on the terrace while the men discussed construction details. Emily came with us. Uninvited but determined. Kate, Emily said as soon as we were outside. Why did you let us think you were just ordinary? I never said I was ordinary. You assumed it. But you never corrected us. I tried. Repeatedly. You didn't want to hear it. Catherine watched this exchange with the analytical eye of someone who'd spent decades navigating social dynamics. If I may, Catherine said gently, I think the issue isn't what Kate did or didn't say. It's what your family chose to hear. Emily bristled. That's not fair. Isn't it? Kate just said she mentioned her promotion to chief lending officer and you asked about dental insurance. That's not mishearing. That's not listening. We didn't know it was important. Why wouldn't your sister's career be important? Emily had no answer. Catherine continued, her voice kind but firm. I've spent my life in business alongside my husband. I've watched women diminish themselves to make others comfortable. I've done it myself. But Kate didn't diminish herself. She told you who she was. You chose not to believe her. We didn't choose anything, Emily protested. You chose to believe that success looked like your life. Marriage. Children. Social status through a husband. When Kate achieved success differently, you dismissed it as just work. Because acknowledging her success would mean confronting your own choices. Emily's eyes filled with tears. That's not true. Isn't it? You're dating Lucas Morrison. All evening your mother has talked about how successful the Morrison family is. How lucky you are to be with Lucas. But your sister? She's the one approving the loan that will determine if Morrison Development succeeds or fails. She has more power over this family's future than Lucas does. And you had no idea. The truth of it hung in the air. Kate, Emily turned to me. I'm sorry. I should have listened. Should have asked more questions. Should have understood. Should have valued me, I added quietly. Yes. That too. We stood in silence looking out at the bay. Finally, Emily asked, what happens now? Now. The committee votes Monday. If approved, Morrison Development gets their loan. The project moves forward. Lucas's family maintains their business. Life continues. And us. That's up to you, Emily. I'm done making myself smaller. Done pretending my success doesn't matter. Done apologizing for being good at my job. If you can't handle that, we don't have much to talk about. I want to handle it. Wanting isn't enough. You have to actually do it. Emily nodded. Wiped her eyes. I'll try. Catherine squeezed my shoulder. You're remarkable, Kate. Don't let anyone make you forget that. We returned to the table. The men were still discussing construction logistics. Mom pulled me aside. Kate, can we talk? Privately. We stepped into a quiet hallway. I had no idea, Mom said immediately. About your job. Your success. Any of it. Yes, you did. You just didn't want to know. That's not fair. Mom, stop. Please just stop. I've spent 15 years trying to make you proud. Trying to get you to see me. Trying to matter to you. But I never did. Because I wasn't Emily. Wasn't married. Wasn't giving you grandchildren. So my career, my success, my life, none of it counted. That's not true, Kate. Yes, it is. When I got my MBA from Wharton, you asked when I was going to settle down. When I made VP at 30, you asked why I worked so much. When I bought my penthouse, you said it was too big for one person. Every accomplishment was a problem because it wasn't the accomplishment you wanted. Mom's face crumpled. I just wanted you to be happy. I am happy. I love my job. I'm good at it. I make excellent money. I have respect in my industry. But you've never once celebrated any of that because it doesn't look like Emily's life. Emily has a good life. Emily has the life you wanted. That doesn't make it the only good life. I'm proud of you, Kate. Are you? Or are you just impressed by the Morrisons' reaction to learning who I am? She didn't answer. Couldn't answer. That's what I thought, I said. Mom, I love you. But I'm done seeking your approval. I'm successful. I'm respected. I'm valued by the people who matter in my professional life. That has to be enough for me. Because it's clearly not enough for you. I walked back to the table. The dinner ended awkwardly. Polite goodbyes. Promises to stay in touch. Robert shook my hand. Monday 10 a.m.? I'll have my recommendation ready. Whatever happens, thank you for your professionalism. It's my job. As I walked to my car, Lucas caught up with me. Miss Chen, Kate, can I ask you something? Sure. Emily really didn't know? About your job. She knew I worked at a bank. Knew I'd been promoted a few times. But she never asked for details. Never cared enough to understand what I actually do. That must hurt. It did. For a long time. Now I'm just tired of it. For what it's worth, I think you're incredible. And Emily is lucky to have you as a sister. Tell her that. She might need to hear it. He nodded. I will. I drove home. Poured wine. Sat on my balcony overlooking the city. My phone buzzed. Text from Emily. I'm sorry. Really truly sorry. Can we talk soon? I didn't respond. Not yet. Another text from Mom. Please don't be angry. We love you. I turned my phone off. Monday morning the approval committee met. I presented Morrison Development's application. Outlined the terms. Detailed the risks and mitigation strategies. Recommended approval with conditions. The committee voted unanimously to approve. I called Robert Morrison personally. Congratulations. Your loan is approved. The paperwork will be ready by Thursday. Thank you, Kate. This means everything. Build something great. We will. After the call, Michael came into my office. How do you feel? Professional. This was a good deal. Smart lending. Solid project. I meant about your family. Oh. That. I leaned back. Honestly, relieved. The pretending is over. They know who I am now. What I do. Whether they value it is up to them. And if they don't, then I have my work, my team, my success. That's enough. Is it? It has to be. Emily called 3 times. I didn't answer. Mom sent daily texts. I responded politely but briefly. Dad reached out once. Your mother is upset. Can you call her? I didn't respond. 2 weeks after the dinner, Morrison Development broke ground on the waterfront project. I attended the groundbreaking ceremony as the bank's representative. Robert gave a speech. Thanked Pacific National Bank. Specifically thanked me. This project exists because Kate Chen believed in it. Because she asked the hard questions that made us stronger. Because she balanced risk and opportunity perfectly. We're grateful. Applause. Photos. Handshakes. Catherine found me afterward. How are you holding up? I'm fine. Family stuff. Still processing. They'll come around. Or they won't. But Kate, you don't need them to validate you. You've already validated yourself. Thank you, Catherine. We're having dinner next month. You and David and Robert and me. No Lucas. No Emily. Just business and friendship. Will you come? I'd like that. 3 weeks after the country club dinner, Emily showed up at my office. Security called. Miss Chen, you have a visitor. Emily Chen. Says she's your sister. Send her up. Emily looked nervous. Out of place in the corporate environment. This is impressive, she said, looking around. Your office. Everything. Thank you. Can we talk? We went into my private office. I didn't offer coffee. Just waited. I've been doing a lot of thinking, Emily said. About the dinner. About our relationship. About how I've treated you. Okay. Kate, I was jealous. I blinked. What? Jealous. Of you. Your success. Your independence. Your confidence. Everything I pretended didn't matter. I wanted it. I just couldn't admit it. Emily. Let me finish. I married Michael because it was what Mom wanted. Had kids because it was expected. Joined the country club because it was appropriate. I built the life everyone told me to build. And then I watched you build the life you wanted. And you succeeded. Boldly. Without anyone's permission or approval. You have a good life. I have a safe life. There's a difference. She wiped her eyes. When Lucas's parents recognized you when they talked about your work with such respect, I realized something. You're the successful one. Not me. Not my husband. And I've spent years diminishing that because it made me feel better about my choices. I never meant to make you feel bad about your choices. I know. But I felt bad anyway. So I made you small. Made your work seem unimportant. Acted like your success didn't count because it wasn't the kind of success Mom valued. And now I want to know my sister. Really know her. The woman who approves $340 million loans. Who makes over $1 million a year. Who gets recognized at industry events. Who changed banking. I want to know that person. Why the change? Because Lucas broke up with me. I sat up. What? 2 days after the dinner. Said he couldn't be with someone who treated family the way I treated you. Said if I could dismiss my sister's accomplishments that easily, I'd dismiss his too. He was right. Emily, I'm sorry. Don't be. I needed that wake-up call. Needed to see what I'd become. Someone who tears others down to feel successful. That's not who I want to be. We sat in silence. Can we start over? Emily asked. Can I learn who you actually are? Not who I thought you were, but who you really are. That's going to take time. I have time. And Kate? I'm proud of you. I should have said that years ago. But I'm saying it now. I'm proud of you. It wasn't forgiveness. Not yet. But it was acknowledgement. Recognition. The beginning of something real. Thank you, Emily. Can I buy you lunch? Let you tell me about your work? Actually listen this time. I checked my calendar. I have an hour. That's a start. 6 months after the country club dinner, the waterfront project was 30% complete. Morrison Development hit every milestone. Every payment schedule. Every benchmark I'd required. Robert called quarterly to update me. Catherine and I had become genuine friends. And Lucas? He and Emily got back together. Fully. Carefully. With the understanding that Emily was working on herself. Mom and Dad came to my office for the first time. Toured the executive floor. Met my team. Saw where I worked. Dad stood in my corner office looking out at the city skyline. This is really something, Kate. Thank you. I'm sorry I didn't understand. Didn't value what you were building. I know. Can you forgive me? I'm working on it. Mom touched my arm. We're proud of you. I know we should have said that years ago. But we're saying it now. It means more than you know. They left. I went back to work. 1 year after the dinner, Morrison Development completed the waterfront project. On time. Under budget. Fully leased. The opening gala was spectacular. City officials. Business leaders. Media coverage. Robert gave another speech. This project succeeded because of many people. But I want to specifically acknowledge Kate Chin, Chief Lending Officer at Pacific National Bank. She believed in this project when others didn't. She asked the tough questions that made us better. She structured financing that protected both the bank and our company. Kate, will you stand? I stood. The room applauded. My family was there. Mom, Dad, Emily, Michael, Lucas. All of them standing. All of them applauding. Seeing me. Finally, completely seeing me. After the event we had dinner together. All of us. To Kate, Dad raised his glass. Who built something extraordinary. Who succeeded beyond anything we imagined. Who never gave up on herself even when we gave up on her. To Kate, everyone echoed. I looked around the table. At the family that had dismissed me for so long. That had finally learned to see me. It wasn't perfect. The years of being ignored didn't disappear. But it was something. Acknowledgement. Respect. The beginning of real relationships. Thank you, I said quietly. For finally understanding. Thank you, Emily responded, for not giving up on us. And that, more than any loan approval or professional success, felt like victory. Not because they'd changed, but because I'd refused to. I'd stayed exactly who I was. Powerful. Successful. Undiminished. And eventually they'd been forced to see it. Because the truth I'd learned doesn't need validation. It just needs to be spoken. Consistently. Confidently. Until even the people who don't want to hear it can no longer ignore it. I was Kate Chin. Chief Lending Officer. Power Broker. Success story. And nothing, not family dismissal, not societal expectations, not anyone's narrow definition of success, could change that. I'd built my empire. One loan at a time. One decision at a time. One moment of refusing to be small at a time. And now finally everyone knew it.